welcome back to Devotions from History. It's March 25th. A man named Dave Thomas was born in 1932 in Atlantic City to parents whom he never met. He was adopted and raised by two parents of Lebanese descent. He started working in restaurants when he was 12 years old in Tennessee. And he lost his first job because of a miscommunication with his manager over vacation time, and he swore he would never lose another job. He enlisted in the Army during the Korean War and was the mess sergeant responsible for feeding 2,000 soldiers 3 times a day. And he found out he really liked the restaurant work. So when he got out of the Army, he joined up with a man known as Colonel Sanders and worked with him to promote Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was Dave Thomas who had the idea that the menu for Kentucky Fried Chicken should focus on just one dish and do it right, and that was chicken. It was also Dave's idea that the Colonel should appear in his own commercials, giving the restaurant a familiar face that people could identify with. Well, Dave Thomas did so well for Colonel Sanders that by 1968 he was able to sell his part back to the Colonel for $1.5 million, which Dave then used to invest in his own chain of restaurants, which he named after his daughter, Wendy's. And it was Wendy's commercials that really made it popular. He followed his own advice to the Colonel and starred in more than 800 commercials. And if you were around in the 1980s, you remember that little old lady walking into the hamburger restaurant and saying, "Where's the beef?" Well, why do we remember Dave Thomas on March 25th? Well, because Dave realized as he got older that he was a role model to a lot of young people who worked in his restaurants. And he got to thinking that because he had dropped out of high school, that his action might encourage some other young person to drop out of school and think they could make it big too. So, in 1993, on March 25th, at age 61, Dave Thomas went back to high school and got his GED. Matter of fact, his high school voted him most likely to succeed. And I agree, Dave Thomas had a lot of success in his life. You know, Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, "Follow me as I follow Christ." Can you say to the people around you, "Follow me as I choose to do what is right"? Because regardless of where we are a role model to somebody, and you have no idea what kind of history might be made by the people watching you. So, like Dave Thomas, be willing to go out of your way to do what you want other people to follow. Even if it means going back to high school when you're in your 60s, be willing to be a role model because somehow, somewhere, you're probably making a little bit of history.